Welcome to the Daily Gruel. I'm your host, Jerry Chan, and today we're going to be going through my Twitter feed. The Daily Gruel is kind of my experiment in social media content production, which doesn't really involve, well, which isn't your run of the mill YouTube video or Snapchat or Instagram, like a short form 15-second thing. It really is. I like the long form thing, and I love the long form interview format. But I think there might be something here for just long form go over your daily news feed, because I think a lot of the problems of the world is the failure of people to see from other people's perspective, and you can't really see from their perspective unless you are consuming the news from the channels that they consume it from. So I hope that this experiment will inspire more people to do this so that maybe we can really get to hear what people really think, without sort of without editing, without cutting, without sort of the politicization and the agendas here. We're just going to go through the daily news feed. That's why it's the daily gruel, right? You don't know what you're going to get in the gruel, but generally it's good for you, or it'll keep you alive if you happen to be in a gulag. So without further ado, let's go through our daily Twitter feed. First news of the day: Rebel News Canada. According to Statistics Canada, in recent census, almost 6 million residents identified their ethnicity as Canadian. Okay, well, that seems good, I suppose. Nothing much to comment about that. Um, Elon Musk says Twitter plans to create a more efficient financial system than traditional banking. Wow, we've heard that before. We'll see it when we see it. I will say that I don't know how I'll see it again in my Twitter feed, but I did see this morning there was some hoopla about Elon Musk, basically saying that he'll say whatever he wants to say, even if it may hurt his bottom line of Tesla, or lose some money. I think it was because he made a comment during the Tesla shareholders board meeting that he thought George Soros was like Magneto, which was kind of funny. It's a very I think it's a very appropriate, or I suppose valid way of looking at characterizing him. Here we go. Treasury cash down by 52 billion in one day to 87 billion. Okay. Well, Zero Hedge has always been very financially bent. I don't really have enough information in my head to even comment on that. Financial systems of the world always seems to be having fun. The Office of Superintendent Financial Institutions approved speaking fee to the Indigenous Knowledge Keeper for a virtual moment of silence in June 2021. What? Okay. It seems a little interesting and not a good use of tax dollars. Um, well, I am very pro news elements and news articles and bits about keeping our politicians accountable. So the more critical eyes looking at our politicians, the better. So I guess good for you, Rebel News. New York parents in uproar: city houses migrants in school gyms. No, it looks like a very New York specific thing. Oh, I don't. I'm too far from that community to have an opinion there. But I suppose, hey, well, you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes. I asked around, if your digital money was stolen, would you like to get it back? Of course you would. If you prefer to lose your money because of some laser eyes, sending money back to ignore lasers. Yeah, I mean, I live in a country where if you lose your wallet, you generally get it back with all the money inside. So, I think that's something that Western society as a whole has lost. It's general culture of trustiness. That's not a word. It's basically people don't trust in society, and the lack of trust only spurs more distrust, and it's kind of like a downward spiral, that I suppose ends with people, watching their back every time they go outside and they go in the street. They're always looking for somebody to rob them, or and I think that's kind of unfortunate. It doesn't have to be that way. I mean, we're all people. We can live in fully functioning working societies. Anyhow, this guy must be talking about the I don't know, there was some news recently about Ledger Wallet. It's a Bitcoin thing about adding a backup feature, and a lot of the BTC maxis didn't really like the fact that a company would be able to have their keys. Okay, whatever. Zero Hedge. Home Depot plunges after worst revenue miss in 20 years. Slashes guidance. Blames weather, lumber, and faltering consumer, presumably consumer interest. Okay, not really that interesting to me. Hard money making a comeback. Gold will rally if US defaults. Oh, so it's just a poll, right? It's a poll. Come on, Balaji. Okay, that sounds like a pump. This is completely a pump piece. All right, you gotta watch. Like most news these days, it's always has a bias. If any of you have been in journalism school, you know the first thing you learn is that everything you read has a bias. Firstly, identify the bias and then read it, with that bias in mind. So this post from Balaji is clearly biased. He's a pro Bitcoin guy, and he's continually just putting out the article, tweet after tweet of like this everything about sound money and changing the financial system, which by in itself is nothing bad, but just keep in mind that's what's where these tweets are coming from. For instance, like it's a survey, so I think it's a little bit of a jump, a leap in reasoning to say that just because the people surveyed, a whole 637 of them who answered this question, will gold rally if the US defaults? The question was, what will you buy if the US hits a debt ceiling? Of the 637 people, right? 50% said gold. Okay, whoopie-doo. It's a survey, right? To then make a claim that says hard money is making a comeback, nah, I don't think so. I think this is all just like media campaign PR, and it seems to be working. If a whole 637 people, 317 of them basically said gold. Okay. Anyway, that's all we have to say about that. Somebody with a blue check mark says, we are effed. Jim Cramer, an economic wave is about to hit that will be fantastic for investors. Okay, this is kind of a play on the fact that whatever Jim Cramer says, the opposite generally happens. It's funny, but it's also equally as erroneous to think that whatever he says, the opposite will definitely happen, just because it happens quite often. He's a personality after all. Speculation is like water in a nascent orchard. Drought kills numerous competing weeds, but also kills the few and far between apple trees. Water grows weeds fast and strong, but it keeps the apple tree alive. After years of weeding, flourishing, it rises above fruits and shade. Okay. I suppose I want to categorize this as wise nuggets tweets and give a strong nod and to that. Oh, I remember this. I remember this video. Right. Remember when COVID first came out? This guy who looks like he completely fakes the fall came out from China, and then everybody thought, wow, COVID's so dangerous. Look, people are just dropping dead from COVID on the streets. And a lot of them were either taken out of context, faked, or taken, I love this one, taken from the COVID response training exercises that the Chinese police and authorities were going through, and then of course reposted as, oh my God, people are getting pulled over on the highway and then dragged out because they're COVID positive or something like that. It just shows you how corruptible, how easily corrupted social media is. For those of you who remember the telephone game back when we were all kids, how one simple sentence can change as long as that sentence is passed through like 10 different people. Anyway, I digress. January 2020, shortly after Xi Jinping announces the strictest lockdown, videos being going all viral around the world, supposedly showing Wuhan residents spontaneously collapsing from this new virus. Right. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. Like, would the government have incentive to spread these videos? Probably. Did they create these videos? Don't know. But if these videos existed, would there be a reason for the government to say that it's misinformation or even investigate them. Why? It's easiest to be guilty of doing nothing. So maybe they just did nothing because it helped the narrative to get people to accept the lockdowns. Who knows? Who knows? All in the past. I'm going to need to consult the transcript. John Fetterman is incapable of speech or coherent thought. Good job. Let's hear what he has to say here. Hold on.
That now they have a guaranteed way to be saved by no matter by how, you know. So
wow.
It's isn't it appropriate that this kind of control should be more stricter to prevent this kind of thing from going? Or should we just go on and start bailing and sailing whoever bank, regardless of how their conduct is?
Okay. I'm really...
I'll give you an example. The Republicans want to give a work requirement for SNAP. You know, for a hungry family has to have this kind of penalties or some kinds of working required. Shouldn't you have a working requirement after we sell your bank with billions of your bank? Because they seem to be more preoccupied than SNAP and requirements for works for hungry people, but not about protecting the taxpayers, you know, that will bail no matter whatever does about a bank to crash it.
I shouldn't be laughing. I don't know.
Sure.
There's not enough context here for me to even begin to figure out what he's talking about, but I also think it's kind of, you shouldn't make fun of the man who may have a speech impediment. Although if he's some sort of elected official, I doubt he has a speech impediment. The guy's just probably having a really bad day. Look, he has all the signs of somebody whose dog just died in the morning, and or he's basically gotten a large dose of bad news, and his mind is elsewhere, and he didn't have the wherewithal to call in sick, and then he decided to go in front of a hearing or in some sort of situation where he's going to have to talk publicly. And that sounds exactly like how you would speak if your mind is not with you. I mean, or he's on drugs. I don't know. Who knows? There's different ways your mind may not be with you. But don't make fun of the guy for that.
Is it staggering? Is it a staggering responsibility that...
All right. Sorry about that. Ben Shapiro says, the Durham report shows, in essence, collusion between the Clinton campaign, FBI, and the Obama administration to weaponize government power against Trump. It is appreciably worse than Watergate. It is far deeper in the bowels of the government and reached to the highest levels. Okay. Sounds pretty damning and incriminating. So collusion between Clinton, FBI, and Obama administration to weaponize government power against Trump. Who knows, man? Yeah, maybe. I guess. I have nothing more to say unless I have time to sit down and look at all this background Durham report, but I don't think I have a lot of incentive to. I'm not a voting American. All right, let's jump around. Throwing stone. Anyone telling you to make transactions off change are an enemy of Bitcoin. Okay, funny. Cernovic says, a shop vac is one of those obvious things you don't buy your whole life, then get one and wonder what the hell why didn't I get one sooner? What's another thing you got and wish you had sooner? I think that's a very American thing. I don't think anybody out of America can relate to what the heck you're talking about there. I know what a shop vac is. It's a really powerful vacuum that looks like R2-D2 or his midget cousin. And yeah, I mean, you're going to need it if you work with wood, because it really just, it's a damn powerful vacuum. But look, if you don't have a wood shop or a workshop in the basement or garage, you don't need one. But anyhow, Cernovic is, he's a man's man, so it seems to be a tweet that's in line with his character and his online persona. Good to you. Dr. Jordan Peterson says, another person whose constant daily routine is fighting against the cancel culture and the woke crowd. Always interesting to read his tweets. Will Leah Thompson Will Leah Thompson is not a woman. He is a tall, strong, narcissistic man who is stealing from women what is rightfully theirs. He is unapologetic. He is an unapologetic cheat, masquerading as a victim, supported by naive and self-righteous enablers. Gotta say, I'm gonna have to say here, I have to. It's hard to disagree with that, Mr. Peterson or Dr. Peterson. Look, I mean, I have nothing against what you want to do to your own body. If you want to be a woman, if you want to be a man, go for it. But it's really not fair for you to then compete in women's sports. And I say women's sports only because I really don't think a woman changing to a man would be at an advantageous position in any men's sport. So while go ahead, you can do that, and you probably would be subject to the same criticism if you wanted to be 100% equal. But let's be frank, it's not equal. You're not going to do as well unless the men's sport is men's chess or men's shuffleboard or maybe even men's bowling. But if it's or ping pong, right? I think women don't really necessarily have a physical advantage or disadvantage in ping pong. But look, this man, woman, man, whatever, Leah Thomas is clearly destroying the competition in women's swimming. And like I saw a video where she beat the second place person by a full minute. I mean, that's just destroying the sport. I mean, you have to go back to the reason why women's sports were separated from men's sports or just general sports in the first place, right? They didn't have women's leagues 100 years ago. Don't correct me out. I'm kind of like paraphrasing. But, in the past, there weren't women's leagues. And they were created because we wanted a sport where women could actually compete on a more equal footing with each other so that they can achieve, first place, second place. They can basically win championships among their peers, right? And not just peers because you're a woman, but peers in the sense that you are in the same sort of performance category, a performance bucket, if you will. And if you are a transgender, then you're clearly beyond the normal average woman's performance bucket or characteristics, parameters. So you shouldn't be allowed to compete. I'm sorry. If you wanted to have a transgender change, then you're just gonna have to give up the dream of competing in women's sports. And if you wanted to become a woman just to compete in women's sports, then really think about the reasoning there. Then you definitely shouldn't be allowed. Like, you are literally doing that because you want to win effectively by cheating. So if sports have laws against performance enhancing drugs and whether or not they are allowed, if they are disallowed, then a performance enhancing operation or hormones should be treated equally the same. So, not a lot of people are going to like that, but that's just the practicality of it. And it's not a racist thing. It's not an anti thing. It's not a transphobe thing. It's just literally, what is the point of women's sports if you don't draw a line here? I mean, that's the point of women's sports. They drew a line so that they would not have to compete with men and get wiped out for the sports where men have a clear advantage, right? Obviously, there's no women's chess league only. That would be silly, and that would be a little sexist. Moving on. While fees are high, you're either glad to participate in missing out. Okay. Oh gosh. The crypto boys, I have to start muting those. Those are not really world news per se. World of engineering. If you're not part of the solution, you are part of the precipitate. I like that. Witty, very witty. That's a chemistry joke, by the way. For those you get it, like comment in the comment section if you understand. Mr. Magoo. Oh, look at that, Mr. Magoo. Bitcoin has a real problem. It's just kind of yesterday's news. Okay, this sounds like another crypto boy, basically masquerading as news. Like, we don't need more Balaji, tweets about, like, look at how the monetary system is horrible and Bitcoin's going to make everything good. It can't even support global cash. Anyway, moving on. Per Byland. People seem to think that businesses lobby Congress for deregulation and free markets. They don't. They lobby for favors, specific deregulations that benefit themselves, of course, and regulations that damage competitors, real or potential. Free markets benefit consumers, not businesses. Yeah, yeah. That's a nugget of wisdom there, folks. Yes, yes. Businesses lobby Congress through their own, and that's not a failing of the system, by the way. That's what lobbyists are there for, and that the profession of a lobbyist is to be the mouthpiece of businesses who who need to pay someone to argue their case to the lawmakers. And that's not capitalism breaking. That's not democracy breaking. That's equally as valid a part of a capitalistic democratic society as the right to protest. So know what it is, but don't criticize its functionality. Robert Malone, MD. That poor guy has gone through so much, but now he in the last 3 years, thanks to the COVID. I mean, he's one of the designers of the mRNA technique, something like that, and he was really he was canceled. He was shut out of social media because he was saying things like, I'm not really sure mRNAs are ready to go. I'm not sure the vaccines were ready to go, and the governments and the CDCs of the world would have none of that, right? No, you are incentivizing, not incentivizing. You are encouraging vaccine hesitancy, which is the term they used, which is really Orwellian. I mean, you should be skeptical, especially when it comes to your health. You should be skeptical, and for us not to be skeptical in the name of rushing a cure that is required, that was wrong of governments to do that. I think. Look, unless it's a zombie apocalypse where people are literally, breaking down your fence and your door because they're infected with a zombie gene, and that level of emergency, then sure, okay, let's rush the vaccine. All right, let's rush whatever. Let's just skip all of the safety checks and all of the procedures to get some sort of potential vaccine candidate there. But if it's not that, and I don't think COVID was that at all, anywhere close, then no, just slow down, take your time. Because, anyhow, I didn't even read what he posted. Governments won't allow Nuremberg 2. I might have to look into this. But it would be outside of the daily gruels. I don't want to click on external links as part of daily gruel. So, but this is something that sounds interesting. I suppose he's referring to the fact that Nuremberg, they had trials for human experimentation. And after the Nuremberg trials, after World War II, it was globally agreed upon by all sensible countries of the world that human medical experimentation is disallowed. Nobody's going to engage in that. And so I think what he's pushing at is he's trying to shine the COVID pandemic and vaccine rollout as a form of, forcing medicine. Experimental medicine on an unwilling population by way of law, of regulation, or mandate. So the vaccine mandate is what makes it, in his opinion, possibly illegal or breaking the Nuremberg Code. It's an interesting discussion. It's something that I think people should not be afraid to discuss and talk about. Without being labeled an anti-vaxxer or a pro-vaxxer or a COVID denier, or look, let's not use labels here. Let's just discuss the facts at hand, and the point that he brings up, it's a valid point. If you're gonna have to draw the line somewhere, and so we probably, for the better of the future, we should probably decide where the line should be drawn. When a medical procedure can be rushed, and because it wasn't very clear, I think the government just stepped in and erred on the side of super extra caution and just basically jumped that line pretty early. Anyhow, all right, okay, that's an ad. Let's just skip the ad. FBI responds to Durham report. Oh, I'm gonna have to read this Durham report because, man, this is the second time it's come up on my feed. I suppose the Durham report is going to be. What was it again? Down here. Gosh. Here it is. Ben Shapiro said it. Collusion, right? It was the Clinton campaign, FBI, and Obama administration weaponizing the government against Trump. All right, we can't really comment on that, but I'm gonna have to read it, and maybe I'll have more to say about that in tomorrow's Daily Gruel. But I'm gonna uh, now I'm gonna like this, not because I've read it, and I really don't think there should be a better way for you to do this on Twitter. By the way, I want to be able to like flag this so that I can find this later. And the only way I've been figuring out how to do this is just by liking it. That way I can go and see what I've liked and I can read it later. But so I don't necessarily like it because of I read this yet, but I'm just doing that so that I can remember to read it later. So damn conspiracy theorists were right, huh? I'm talking, of course, about Trump, Russia, witch hunt, vaccine damage, masks, and effective lockdown, COVID origin, Jeffrey Epstein, JFK assassination, and Miso Patriot Act and war. Well, yeah, I mean, if we were right, then sigh. You know, it's one of those things that's like, I wish we would have any pleasure in saying I told you so, but I'm just more concerned about the use of weaponized social media. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing the Daily Gruel for you, so that basically, you get to hear real thoughts, real thought out opinions on news feeds that hopefully doesn't come across as crazy or wacky, even if I may not be agreeing with you from where you stand. We should all be willing to listen to each other. Whale Wire, Justin Houston, Treasury said Janet Yellen says looming default could leave millions without income. That's bad. Triggering recession, causing job and business losses. That's bad. Well, yeah. Well, it's been looking sort of bad since the financial crisis of 2008, honestly, except for the couple of years immediately afterward, 2009. I wonder why, when you inject $8 trillion into the economy, all of a sudden it seems good and rosy again. Well, clearly. But the problem with that type of stimulus is that you're eventually going to have to pay for it later if growth doesn't catch up. And the problem is growth is just not catching up. Maybe it's because of social media. Who knows? But whatever it is, the world is busy wasting their time arguing on the internet instead of building things and curing things and doing things which are positive GDP. It's unfortunate. This is a hilarious and accurate short piece. Yes, 99.9% of AI bros were crypto bros last year. It's painful to watch. No substance, classic trend hopping. Well, yeah, if you're a bro, you're a bro. You can't blame a leopard for its stripes. Wait, spots. That's right. You can't blame a zebra for its stripes. Don't even need to read this. I kind of like, I generally agree with that. Basically, there are always people who just hop trends because they're just attention magnates. They are agents of the attention grabbing economy, and they thrive on getting followers. They thrive on making news that is meme worthy. Literally, this is the attention economy, unfortunately, and that's part of the problem. FBI responds to German report and boasts it's already taken dozens of corrective actions. All right, great. All right, counter argument there. You're not allowed to criticize George Soros without being accused of bigotry. Didn't realize the man was an entire race. What is he talking about? The likely reason behind Elon Musk's anti-Semitic word tonight. George Soros fun dumped entire. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess Elon just called him Magneto. I don't really understand what's so anti-Semitic about that. Like, I mean, there's plenty of people who can fit the fated villain with a golden cause kind of stereotype archetype, right? I don't understand. Anyhow, good on you, Elon. By the way, good on you for speaking your mind. Here is more on it. More on it, of course. Fun fact: the ISD report cited to claim anti-Semitism is on the rise on Twitter since Elon Musk took over. Was funded by George Soros and includes tweets that criticize George Soros as evidence of anti-Semitism. Wow, self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, let's not believe Kanekawa the Great off the top, without digging a little bit, because, always be skeptical of anon accounts. They have nothing to lose from lying. The Washington Post, Elon Musk, who has overseen a rise in anti-Semitism and other hate speech on Twitter, made a series of attacks on George Soros, tweeting the Jewish-born investor and liberal philanthropist hates humanity and wants to erode the very fabric of civilization. Quoted? Huh. Wow. So he said a little bit more than he was Magneto, huh? Well, oh, well, is he just comparing him to Magneto? Who clearly does, I know, like, according to the story, hates humanity or hates non-mutants anyway, for good reason. I mean, he was persecuted in the story. Anyway, I would love to click on this, but I would violate my can't click on external links for the Daily Gruel. I want to read this later though. I don't like this. I don't like this, so I can remember to read it later. Okay, okay. All more Bitcoin stuff. Oh gosh. All right. Okay. Oh, that's it, and we are done. We're at the end of our daily news feed, and so that we're gonna wind it down to close. Thanks for joining me today on the Daily Gruel. Hope to see you again next time. Take care. Be good to each other.